But then they're the ones on Facebook being like, I'll post a video, say I posted a video of like a get ready with me. And people will say, oh, you're so beautiful. Like you bounced back, girl, like from your pregnancy. And then I'll post that same video on Facebook and they'll be like, bounce back where? Mom needs a mommy makeover. Like, what? And it's like those same people. And I'll click on their profile and it's funny because it's always someone that claims they're religious.
Yes. Right.
And it's all, yeah. It's all someone like,
good morning to some, good evening to others. Your host, Preston Jackson on the BCP podcast. And we are just venturing into just any different pot we can get into, finding interesting people who want to talk to us. Another fabulous one came across the desk. I'm excited about this one. She's an entrepreneur. She's a proud mom of 5, possibly 6. We may see. She's an awesome content creator. Has amassed over 3 million followers amongst multiple social media platforms. So she is social media famous. Please, everybody, welcome to the show, Miss Janelle Mcaloon. Janelle, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, Preston. How are you?
I am fabulous, and I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Now, 5 kids, most people like myself would run from the even thought of 5 kids. Like I said, I had 2 and I was told my wife, like, I'm done. Like my firstborn makes everything seem easy. He's easy going. He was an easy baby. He was just my biggest heart. And then number 2 came and she was a monster. How did you do? We're not even into the line of question yet, but how did you do number 3, 4, and 5?
Oh my God. Yeah. So we kind of had the same experience. Like our first one was the easiest. Like I could have a million more of her. And then our second one was like totally like different. And we were like, okay, but we were 2 girls. So we were like, we got to try for the boy. And we had the boy number 3. And then we were like, you know what? Let's try one more. Actually, sorry. 3 was an accident.
It happens.
We were in the same boat with you. Like 2 was like, okay, I think we're done. And then when my second was 5 months old, we found out I was pregnant with our son. And then we were like, okay, if we're going to have 3, might as well have 4. And then we kind of were like, you know what, maybe we should have a second boy for our son. And it ended up a boy. So we have 3 girls, 2 boys.
That kind of seems like the popular trend, especially with really strong men. They'll have those first couple girls, but I gotta try to get the boy. From your peer circle, does that seem like it happens a lot also? Like you end up having 3+ kids because you're trying to get that boy?
Yeah, I think so. And, my husband always says like he feels like he needed to have his girls first to become like a great father. And I think that's true. Because now he's just like, he knows how to like be that father for his son.
Yeah.
Because of having his girls first.
See, in my peer circle, it's always, you're going to freaking get girls because all the messed up things you did to people's daughters back when you were younger. That's why you're freaking getting girls. And now this is payback because the girls are going to drive you crazy. They're going to do 2 things. They're going to drive you crazy and they're going to soften you. This is all payback. So let's go in. Childhood.
Yes.
You grew up in a very rich sports family of 3 siblings. And for those who do not know, this is a sibling of our, we're big Chicolo fans. So our own Anthony Chicolo grew up a Miami Hurricane. So Janelle, take us back to where you fall in the sibling lineup and about your childhood growing up in the Chicolo household.
All right. Well, I am a middle child, which is probably saying a lot right there. But my family was always really supportive of everything we did, always very loud, and we were always very close. Growing up in a football household was crazy. So my dad was in the NFL. My grandfather was in the NFL. And then my brother was in the NFL. So that was kind of always expected of him. And for me, I might have got, a little bit lost in that dream.
Mm.
But, my parents were always supportive of what I did. I never really knew what I wanted to do yet.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I was always just supportive of Anthony. And I didn't really find my passion until I became a mom,
Okay.
which is, I always knew I wanted to be a mom. And then when I had my daughter, it was just really like, okay, this is what I want to do, and I've been so lucky to make kind of a career out of that. But
That
yeah,
that middle child, for lack of a better term, that middle child sibling lineup, ordeal. Do you believe in that? Does that thing ring true? Do you kind of, I don't know if you got to get lost in the shuffle. Does that? How explain that to me? You growing up, because at some point you were number two, and then number three comes along, and I guess eventually how you feel is like, yo, where's my attention?
yeah. So I do feel like the middle child thing is 100% true. My
Mm-hmm.
daughter Lily is like the biggest middle child. Like she wants our attention so badly. Like
Mm-hmm.
the week Josh especially gives her like extra attention. I never feel like I was affected by it because my sister is 10 years older than me.
Okay.
So it kind of just felt like me and Anthony, and then my sister being older, I feel like it kind of didn't hit me as bad.
Mm-hmm.
And we're always so supportive of each other.
Yeah.
So no, I never got like jealous of, Anthony's attention or anything like that. But I definitely think the middle child thing does ring true for a lot of people.
Okay.
Yeah.
With all the success that your family had in the sports sector, was
hmm
there pressure for you to play sports growing up?
I definitely tried. I wasn't the
Okay.
best athlete.
No
Not like
worries.
but there was never like pressure for like, oh, Janelle, you need to, get into a sport. They had me in sports and they were fine if I wasn't, it wasn't my thing. And it
Yeah.
wasn't. And it took, becoming a mom to find my passion and drive. And, my parents knew that I'd figure it out eventually, and I did.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So when, all right, so let's fast forward now because we
but
got to
it
get into the
gave
juicy
me,
part.
yeah, it definitely like seeing, like being in a sports family, it definitely gave me the
Yep.
discipline, you know.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's kind of what I wanted to get into is that even though your success may not have come in the sports sector, you learned a lot from having those sports influences around you. Yes?
Oh, of course. It definitely like taught me how to like commit to something
Okay.
100%.
Okay. And now that produces what you are, what not what you are, what you kind of become. So
hmm
I want to fast forward. Social media, and you're younger than I am. So when did social media kind of become a thing for you? Like when did you first start dabbling in the socials, jumping on socials, posting on socials? When was that for you?
So it started when I became a mom. I got
Okay.
pregnant at 21, and TikTok wasn't really a thing, and that's really where I started. But where I got my success. But I started on Instagram, and that's kind of when social media became like a thing for influencers. Believe it or not, it's like
Mm-hmm.
2013, where I saw so many moms just posting, pictures like these gorgeous pictures, and it started, it was hard because I was comparing myself to them,
Hmm.
trying to keep up with this aesthetic, perfect life. But yeah, that's where it started for me is when I was 21, I got pregnant. 22, I became a mom and I started sharing my life. I started just posting photos of Ava, me, Josh, and Ava, trying to like compete with these other moms. And it wasn't successful at all. Like I failed so bad. Like no one was even viewing them.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't take off until COVID happened,
Okay.
which was so me posting on even when Lily was born in 2017. So I was posting pictures of them, and it never took off until videos.
Okay.
So videos is what like created my success. I was just sharing. I think our first video that was successful was just Josh bringing me coffee in the morning.
Okay.
So, and I realized like people weren't into like these picture perfect moments. They wanted like real life.
Okay.
So I think that's kind of what helped our success is just sharing like real moments instead of just like, this is our gorgeous kitchen. This is us on vacation. Like, I feel like now people don't want to see that as much.
Mm. I feel like the sense that what I get from your tone is you are proud to have your first child.
Mm-hmm.
And when you say comparing yourself, was it why did you feel like you needed to compare yourself, your family that you had started to establish to anybody else's?
I don't know. I think that's just kind of what social media makes you feel in a way.
Okay.
Like you're just like, oh, I see them going on vacation. Like that's what I want to do. I see
Okay.
her daughter wearing this dress. Like I want to, do that with my daughter. And
Okay.
I really make it a point on my channels to like show like the good, bad, and the ugly because comparison, it sucks. No one wants to like think that they're not in the same realm as someone else.
Right.
So I'm trying to like just be more relatable, more raw, you know, just more real.
And like parenting is, like family structure is, right?
Hmm.
Um I've got two kids, I've got a phenomenal wife, and value my wife to the utmost, right? Value our family structure to the utmost. My kids are fantastic, but they're not always fantastic. You
No.
know, my wife isn't always fantastic. This house doesn't always run smoothly. So
Hmm.
by you showing the behind the scenes stuff, is for me is really relatable because that's what my house looks like. It's not perfect. It's not clean all the time. The dishes aren't done all the time. The kids' rooms look like a mess all the time. You know what I mean? It's just not real for me. And I could relate when I went to stalking your Instagram, when I'm doing my homework because you're coming on the show and I need to know what kind of content I want to create. I'm looking at it like, yeah, that's kind of like us. That's a little bit like us. I can see that in our household. So it is relatable. That's why you got to follow. I followed you in, because
Uh,
that looks like our house.
yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. So you go from posting,
Hmm.
but then you start to merge into becoming some type of influencer. When did you know I got a little juice in this social media space? Like I'm kind of popping a little bit.
So I think when I first noticed that we were getting bigger was probably about 2021,
Okay.
where I was having people, comment on my videos like, "Oh, what is this? What are you wearing?" I'm like, "Me? Like, you want to know what I'm wearing?" Or like, just like, "Oh my god, I love your family," and then just like calling us by our first names, like, "Oh my god, I haven't seen Josh today. Where's Josh? Oh, where have you been?" Like, so I kind of saw like a pickup of like people just caring about our
Okay.
life.
Okay.
So that was like, and just like a huge wake up call. I was like, oh wow, like people actually, want to see us and resonate with what we're like posting and stuff like that. Um, yeah, so that was very exciting. Very, very exciting.
And then how do you balance what you share and what you don't share? And I let me, while you think about it, because when my kids were younger, they would
Mhm.
go on YouTube and they just watch other people's families. And for me, it was the weirdest thing. Like, why do you want to know what they do all day long in their car trips to Georgia and what they're doing in the kitchen? But I'm a little older generation. So for me, it just I was kind of confused. But then as you're talking to me and I'm thinking about when they were children, you have this balance of they love us being vulnerable and sharing our family structure and how we operate.
Mhm.
And the more we give them, the more they're going to gravitate. But how do you say, okay, this is the line. We can't give them this part of us. Where's that? how do you determine where that line is?
Well, I try to like not I would never post anything my kids are uncomfortable with. If
Mm-hmm.
they are in a bad mood and don't want to be in a video, I would never ever force them to be in a video or
Mm-hmm.
um I try not to share like, their, personal stuff. I would never like cross that line and
Mm-hmm.
share any of that. Um but my kids, they enjoy um, doing the videos. A lot of our videos lately, I've just kind of been setting up the camera, and it's just kind of been us just in our unaesthetically looking kitchen, just
Mm-hmm.
dancing, cooking dinner, because that's us. That's just what we do during dinner time. We're just cooking, listening to Alexa, singing songs,
Right.
joking around and stuff like that. But I never like I don't have like a camera in their face all day. It's just
Okay.
like okay, perform. Like it's never like that. And
Okay.
I want to
Okay.
make a point that it's always what you see is kind of what you get from us.
Do you have anything where you're strategically planning out certain content that you want to produce? Like, okay, I want to produce this type of video. I want to show us in this environment. Is there anything, or is everything just like spontaneous?
No, I mean most of the stuff I'll try to just capture moments. Just like a lot of the times like it'll just be silly moments like Josh pumping gas at the gas station and he's like in the window trying to make them laugh, or like
Yep.
sometimes like you just know like when like something is going to happen, or if like Josh comes back with the coffee, I'll just be filming just to see if I get like a good moment. But it's never
Okay.
like, yeah, it's never like, or nothing's really orchestrated unless it's just like a trend video we're doing,
Gotcha.
and it's just like
Now,
here's our outfits or stuff like that.
Josh seems like a strapping young man.
He's great. He's a great guy.
And how did you let me ask you this. Josh's background, and we spoke off air, and I said, hey, did Josh play sports? And you said, yeah, he did. All
Mhm.
right, now from a guy with a pretty extensive team environment background, how did you get him on board to want to open up his life to social media along with yourself?
Well, he knows Josh is very, very supportive, and
Okay.
Josh knows like how passionate I am about, social media, sharing my life. So honestly, he would just do anything to make me happy. I mean, and he's become like the star of the channel. Everyone loves him. They love his
Good.
dancing. They love videos with him and his identical twin.
Okay.
And I mean, they love the attention. Anytime we leave the house, they're the ones getting recognized.
Now, it seems like he doesn't embarrass easy, and it seems like you don't embarrass easy. Is that true?
I would say definitely. I mean, you have to
Okay.
kind of have thick skin if you're going to be on social media. You're going to have to take the good, the bad, the ugly, because people will tell you your 2 cents whether you want to hear it or not.
True.
So
True.
you can't get offended. You just got to take it. And I always tell that to people if they're thinking of starting social media, because I've had family members come to me or friends and like, oh, how do you like get started? And I'm like, just know you have to have thick skin if you're gonna do this, because people will just attack you no matter what the
Hmm.
video is. You could have the best comments, and it's funny because all platforms are different.
Yeah.
And TikTok, I've seen, I think, are the most accepting people. And then when the same video I post on TikTok that does well will be like all positive comments. I'll post that same video on Facebook and I will just get straight attacked. I don't know what it is with Facebook, but people are so brutal on there.
So, okay, and we don't have to be psychologists here, but do you think there is that generational gap between the two platforms that makes people like my age who are probably Facebookers, 40 plus, TikTokers who are probably be, I'm just spitballing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say for the most part, TikTok is a younger platform. I don't know any high school kids that are on Facebook at all, right?
Oh yeah,
So
exactly.
you not at all. And we're judgy as heck. So you have a whole bunch of old folks who are on Facebook who are super judgy. So you take that same TikTok video where kids are posting or whatever the case may be, you take that same video you post on Facebook and you get two different reactions. I would suppose because of generational gap. What do you think? What would your conclusion be? Why do you get two totally different reactions on those platforms?
I have no idea. And it's weird because you have the older generation, which are like they'll always say, "Oh, this younger generation, there's so much bullying now. Like when I was younger, we weren't like that." But then they're the ones on Facebook being like, I'll post a video, say I posted a video of like a get ready with me. And people will say, "Oh, you're so beautiful. Like you bounce back, girl, like from your pregnancy." And then I'll post that same video on Facebook and they'll be like, bounce back where? Mom needs a mommy makeover. Like,
What?
and it's like those same people. And I'll click on their profile and it's funny because it's always someone that claims they're religious.
Yes. Right.
And, and
The
it's
worst.
always, yeah, it's
Goodness
always
gracious.
someone like 45 plus. And it's just
Right.
like,
So
those
judgy.
yeah, I don't understand it because those are the same people that are saying the younger generation is so brutal and there's such a problem with bullying, but it's not. It's really the older generation.
Yeah, because we're the old farts that are yelling and won't get off our porch. We want it the same way as it used to be. The world is changing. It's evolving. Social media is a part of it, and a lot of us don't necessarily want to accept how social media is playing a part in everything that we do. So all we do is complain and fuss about it. We do it all the time. It's just the old people thing. We just complain and fuss. No solution based. Just fuss, fuss, fuss at the young kids because like they're the problem. I say it all the time. We have older generations fuss at the younger generation about how they utilize social media. However, if you see how the older generation utilizes social media, it's the exact same way. It's the exact same way. We require attention the same way the younger generation does. So we'll sit there and we'll question and criticize the younger generation about how they're so attention seeking on social media. However, if you go and look at an older generation social media, they're very much attention seeking, a lot of attention seeking behavior, and they want the validation of others. And then they judge others.
Yeah.
Very judgy folks all the time. And
Mhm.
that we're talking in general terms. So anybody out there who feels offended, I apologize. But this is a very general conversation. I'm not talking about you or you or you or this. Okay, we're good there. But it happens. And it happens. So what do you think is the difference between TikTok and Instagram?
TikTok and Instagram, I think Instagram's more in the middle. Like you'll get a mix. So you'll
Okay.
get kind of like half positive comments, half like those Facebook people, but it's generally kind of in the middle. I've noticed more of the difference from Facebook.
Okay.
Just like, I don't know. It needs to be studied.
It needs to be all right. Well, here we go. We're gonna we're gonna double back this. We may do a little bit of research, and we'll double back and have a part two of this conversation and see what kind of answers that we come up with. We have our hypothesis, and we're gonna follow up with some information
No,
and see if we come together with a conclusion.
it's funny because like I have never personally, and I'm sure you're the same, like I've never taken time out of my day to write a negative comment on someone's thing. If I don't like the video, just scroll. Just
There
scroll
you
and
go.
block them. That's it. It's that
That,
simple.
it's not that hard.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You have come to build a business out of the content amongst the different social media platforms that you're on. And before we go further, I want you to go ahead and shout out your different platforms and where people can find you and go.
Okay. All right. So I am on a bunch of different platforms. My main one is TikTok. You could find me at Nell's World, Nelles World. I'm on Instagram. You could find me at Janelle Mcaloon. Facebook, I'm at Nell's World again, and then YouTube, which we're starting to like break into YouTube right now. We're at the Macaloons.
Okay. So
Find
now
us still on there.
you've established a business and have done, we spoke off air, but you've done pretty well with the monetization from the social media platforms. Now, monetarily, let's put that aside. In order to gain, you got to give some. Has there ever been a time where you've maybe posted something and you're like, I probably shouldn't have posted that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Can you take me back to that and tell me that story?
All right. So there was one video in particular we posted. You know, before we used to, I used to do a lot before I started sharing more like just our life. I would do skits, and there was this one skit we did, and it was just like a phone call. Josh called his mom, or I called Josh's mom, and I was like, "Let's see if Josh's mom lies for him." And
Okay.
the whole comments. So she did. I was like, "Oh, is Josh with you?" And she's like, meanwhile, he was sitting next to me. I was like, "Is
Right.
Josh with you right now?" And she's like, "Yeah, he's here. He's swimming in the pool with the kids." And it was a skit we did, kind of rage bait to get like comments, to get the comments brewing, because people will relate to him, be like, "Yeah, his mom should lie for him," or "Yeah, like, um, that's messed up. She shouldn't have his back like that." So the whole comment section, she had his back. She was like, "He's not here. Why are you so needy? You don't need to know where he is all the time."
Oh
And
no.
yeah, the
Oh
whole
no.
the whole like comments were like, "Divorce him, such a red flag." We had like so many people, big creators, like commenting, stitching it, and I was like, meanwhile, I
So,
wrote in the caption that it was a skit, but sometimes people don't see that.
oh, they're not reading the caption.
Yeah, but I
So,
didn't like that negative attention. I thought we posted it thinking it was funny, but people were like, "Well, you shouldn't post this because, people do relate to this and do have like, issues with their husband." I'm like, "Okay."
that ain't my fault. That ain't,
Uh,
yeah. That's like husbands should be broken down into
mhm.
how you define a husband is you will have issues with this person. Like that should fall immediately number one under husbands. Husband definition. You will have issues with him or her. Whatever you define as a husband, your partner, you will have issues with your partner. That's kind of how relationships work,
Yeah.
right? It's not going to be perfect throughout the whole relationship at all. So with that post that you made, like as you're reading through these comments and you and Josh are obviously having conversation and you're conversing about the comments going in these posts, what did you take from it? Did you learn anything from it? Would you do it again? Like what did you get from it?
So what we learned from that is, I don't even know. It's just like, be careful what you post because, you do leave a digital footprint.
Mm-hmm.
And, just be careful because that stuff will stay online forever.
Okay. Well, that's a lesson to everybody listening.
Yeah. So, and
Um,
I would say too, another video that was kind of taboo in a way,
yeah,
I shared, so I like to touch on my breastfeeding journey and
okay.
share that. And, sometimes people, you know, a lot of people are supportive. A lot of people are like, why are you sharing that? I have an oversupply, and I shared that I was out in public and I heard a baby cry. And when you hear a baby cry and you're breastfeeding, like your milk will just, it just start leaking.
And
And
there goes your shirt.
yeah, and I shared
Yep.
like, "Oh my God, this is what happens when you hear a baby cry in public." And it was just like, kind of like just my milk, you know, leaking. And it was just kind of one of those things. I just posted it, but I was like, I mean, the video has probably like 50 million views on TikTok, like 5 million likes on YouTube. It was just like it blew up everywhere.
Right.
Um, and then I also shared that one time, this was like in major news outlets. I shared we were on vacation. We were in Puerto Rico. We were on this little island. That Josh had to like help me express my milk. And it was like, well, when your husband has to help you, when you have to breastfeed your husband because you forgot your pump. So some so you
Okay.
can totally Google that, and it just like wife had to breastfeed her husband while on vacation. That was pretty embarrassing.
Okay. Okay. Yep.
Yeah,
All right.
sometimes it's a little too real and raw over here, and I was just kind of like, maybe I shouldn't, maybe some things should be left personal.
So, do you think that is a cultural, an American cultural thing that, because let's just take breastfeeding, right? There are folks who they don't really care if somebody's sitting in public and they're breastfeeding. Like that's kind of what people do is they breastfeed their children. But there are people who are accepting of the breastfeeding. Just don't pull the breast out in front of everybody, right? Just maybe you should do it in private.
Mm-hmm.
However, other countries, that's not a thing. But in this country, that's
It
obviously a thing. People would rather have you keep that to yourself other than be out on in the park breastfeeding your child when that's kind of what nature calls for. So
is.
do you think this is a personal preference or maybe American culture where we're accustomed to or we've been conditioned to breastfeeding should be private?
Yeah. I think it's a little of both, honestly.
Okay.
Um, but I do think there's like certain people that um, are more against it than others. But I try to like normalize breastfeeding in public on my channel as well.
Okay.
And I get a lot of comments of thank you so much for breastfeeding. Thank you so much for, trying to normalize it because people are like so yeah, like you said, just like it's like a taboo thing to just like be out in a restaurant and just not be covered and just feeding your baby. And I think too, people don't realize like, the baby's eating. They're eating just like you're eating. They don't want to be covered up. They they don't want to like and also like it's startling for the baby to like just like put a blanket on over their head, you know.
The other layer, and not to get too deep, and we won't, but the other layer kind of feels like the breast has become such sexualized, other
I
than
was gonna say that. I didn't know if I
a
could.
necessity.
Yes.
We are talking.
Okay.
We're talking. It's become way too, not way too, but it's more sexualized than a necessity for development for a child. So when a woman is breastfeeding,
Mm-hmm.
now instead of looking at, oh, she's feeding a child, it's like, oh, is she being way too revealing other
Mm-hmm.
than is she doing what she needs to do as a mother? And that's where I think the debate comes in at, is that we're now as a society we're looking at it one way, and it's not that way, but in our society it feels as though that is the priority, is that now the body is more so used for entertainment more than
Exactly.
right than the necessity for development for children.
No, it is a big thing, and I will post videos and you'll get comments like, "Oh, you don't know like what kind of guy is watching," and I get that, but like I'm feeding my baby, like I'm
Right.
not. I shouldn't have to worry about sexualizing for like male's attention. It's not
Right.
like I'm like doing it for attention, and I try to make it normal, and like I'll breastfeed anywhere, like I don't like try to like cover up. Like my kids are, so used to it, and it's not like once you're doing it so much, it's not like they're looking like that. It's just normal.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
You had an opportunity to actually, I'll let you explain the YouTube creator host experience because I don't want to mess up the intro to it. But
Mm-hmm.
tell me about the YouTube creator host experience, your experience doing it, and what was the purpose of it?
All right. So yeah, with YouTube, they asked me to be their creator host for this event. And it just was a bunch of creators coming together. But I had the opportunity to, tell my story and speak and like talk about social media and
Okay.
being a creator. Because honestly, being a creator, I lost a lot of friends that aren't in this realm because they just don't get it. And
Oh.
yeah, I always say like, what was I gonna say? I always say like, your biggest supporter is always like some random person that you don't even know online.
Mm.
I'll be posting and I'd have my friends who I know see my content, just not like, not share, not even acknowledge that you're posting. So when I first started, I remember like, telling my friends that I'm doing it. They're like, "Oh, you're still doing that?" Like, yeah, I know you see it every day. Like, I engage with it. So I don't know. Just for some reason, my people in my real life, like my friends, like I lost a lot because they just don't understand it. And like, it sucks. Being a creator, you feel lonely, isolating because a lot of the times your friends and family don't understand it.
Hmm.
And so back to the YouTube thing, I talked about it was creators from all different niches, which was awesome. And my biggest thing I wanted to stress is like, even though we're all in different niches, you could always learn from another creator. And that's
Right.
what like this event was just bringing people together.
Right.
And yeah, because I made so many different connections, and everyone was in different social media worlds. We had like people that did like thrift store finds, did workout hauls, did ASL, did grief counseling. And it was just so nice to have all these different people like come together because I mean, we all have one goal in mind, which is, creating content and trying to like build a platform. So it was really,
Where
really
where
a great experience.
where was this event located?
It was in Providence.
Okay.
Um,
Um, and what year did you go?
I just went like 2 weeks ago.
All right. And then when you get this invitation, what's your reaction, initial reaction when you get the invitation?
I mean, I was completely just honored that they would think of me to like be the host.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm just a mom, and there's so many like other cool creators that were there that they could have chosen. But I mean, honestly, I was just honored. Um, and I love sharing my life, so I love telling my story to them. And it was a YouTube event, so my next goal is to start like creating long form content on
Okay.
YouTube.
Tell me if you remember um, some of the line of questionings that so you were the host, which means I believe you have to correct me if I'm wrong, that you were kind of moderating. You were moderating the event, so taking questions, maybe issuing questions to other people who are on the panel. Maybe,
Mm-hmm.
um, do you remember some lines of questionings or some answers that were provided from other creators that were pretty like it resonates to you? Like, yo, that sticks. I need to write that down. Do you remember some of those?
I'm trying to think. Like, what do you mean? Like,
Maybe
uh,
some how-to questions or how do I do this better? What should I do here? Just because I
yeah.
feel like it. You remember some of those?
Well, I had like so there was like a bunch of smaller people that came up to me, smaller creators, and they're just like
Okay.
I'm so fascinated. Like, how do you get started? How do you like? I'm just fascinated by your success. Like, what advice would you give to somebody, trying to build a community?
Yeah.
And I just I told her, I was like, be yourself, be authentic, be consistent and the followers, and not even just followers, but more importantly is you want a community. Like
Okay.
who cares about the follower number? You want to have like a form of community. You want to have people that are just there showing up, supporting you. That is the
Yeah.
biggest. Like the following number does not matter.
I heard something on one of the social media influencers I follow, and he was talking about followers,
Mm-hmm.
and he said that one of the people that he was counseling was getting a little bit frustrated because they were only getting 100, 200 views on pieces of content that they were posting. And he said, "Yo, do you know what 100 people look like? Do you know what 200 people look like? So if you had 100 people in front of you and you had 200 people in front of you, would you just walk away from it, or would you speak to those 100 and 200 people?"
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it was like, "Yo, he's right. That if that is your audience, there's some value. They're finding some value in the content that you're posting. Those 100, those 50, those 60 people, that's a lot of folks. That's a lot of people in one room."
Well, yeah.
So that really resonated to me. Now this YouTube event, when you came back home and did Josh go with you by chance?
Josh was there. Yeah, he was
So
there.
Josh was there, and Josh is obviously the star of the show. Um, did did they gravitate towards Josh and ask Josh any questions?
Oh yeah. Jo- they did. Josh loves helping people. So
Okay.
if anyone has a question about social media, Josh loves to like talk about how we got started and what you can do and the different platforms you can start on. Um, I know TikTok is like, the biggest way to grow. So
Mm-hmm.
he always says start on, TikTok. Facebook, even though they're mean, you could build, you could build a pretty good community on there as well. Um, yeah, but Josh loves sharing his story and sharing how to get started.
What was the big first brand collaboration and or brand deal that you acquired?
Oh my gosh. So our first big brand deal where I was just like blown away. They wanted to work with us, and kept wanting to work with us was McDonald's.
Okay.
I love McDonald's Coke. It's like one of
Shout
my.
out McDonald's.
I know. If you want to collab again, hit me up.
Right.
And then Verizon, which was like a huge deal. And my actually like one of our first ones was iRobot. I don't know if you know
The movie?
the vacuum.
The vacuum. Okay. Okay.
iRobot.
Do you remember the movie iRobot?
Oh yeah. I
Okay,
think
all
I
right, good.
just watched it too, like a couple months ago.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Will Smith, that's a great one by Will. All right,
Oh
go ahead. Back on subject.
yeah. Yeah, it was iRobot, and this was like back in 2020 or 2021. This was through TikTok, and I remember just thinking, they were like, "Hey, like, what's your going rate?" And Josh and I had no idea what to say. Josh loves telling this story too, but we were like, "Yeah, like, we got to value our worth, so let's just throw out a number." And we were just like 10,000.
And they're like, done.
No. They were like, yeah, our budget's like, I think they said 1,500, and we're like,
Okay. Right.
all right, we'll take
We don't
it.
know anyways.
Great. There was,
Cool.
and the vacuum. I was like, and I would have just did it for the vacuum.
Vacuum. Right.
Yeah, so I keep looking over here because we have the vacuum over there, but
Shout out to iRobot.
no.
Okay. So when these brands early on in your career, did they contact you? Like, how did they get in contact with you? DM, or how did that happen?
So yeah, they would just. I had my email in my bio, and they would just email me. And if I didn't have my email, or sometimes they would just message me.
Okay. Okay. So they came to you.
Mm-hmm.
Got you. Another big one that you have or you had at one point in time, the Dunkin' Donuts project. So
Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin' Donuts, a lot of good funny posts. There you go. Look, shout out to Dunkin'.
But
How?
we don't have Dunkin' yet. We're trying to work on Dunkin'.
Okay, you're trying to work on Dunkin'. Okay, all right. So, but take me to the thought process as you're working on Dunkin', because you obviously you like the product or you like what they do, you like the customer service, but you've posted some really good content on Dunkin' that looks like you're probably sponsored by Dunkin'. What was it? What's the thought process going into that?
So our thing is, we're in New England. All New Englanders love Dunkin'. We love Dunkin'. We go to Dunkin' Donuts every day for the last 12 years since I've been here.
Okay.
Yeah, if no one knows, I used to live in Florida. Now I live here in Massachusetts.
Okay.
But, we love Dunkin' Donuts. That is like our go-to. Every day Josh goes and gets us Dunkin' Donuts. So our thought process is like, why not share what we love?
Yep.
So if you follow us and if you followed us for a while, we love Dunkin' Donuts. So
Yep.
that's just what we do. We share getting our iced coffee, our Dunkin' Donut runs, and then we started incorporating Josh and his twin dancing at Dunkin' Donuts, bringing me the iced coffee, and those videos went super super viral. And although we're friends with Dunkin' on TikTok and Instagram, they don't pay us. So we are
Okay.
just big, big, big Dunkin' lovers. Obviously, that's like our goal. We'd love to like form a long-term partnership with Dunkin'. They sent
Boom.
us the tracksuits, so we're close. We're close.
Okay.
That
All
is
right.
like,
Well, we want to be in that boat just in case this puts you over the top, right? So if this podcast episode puts you over the top, you land that deal. That we'll.
I don't know what
All
else
right.
I have to do. So
I
maybe
know. Neither do I.
I think I'm gonna have to start tagging Ben Affleck. I'm gonna have to start tagging Mark Wahlberg to hopes they're like, okay, Dunkin', sign
Yeah.
these
Come on, man.
guys.
Stop playing, Duncan. Stop playing with us. You know where we are. We got you.
It's almost
Now,
at the point now where people are like, I think they're sponsored by them now. Like,
that's
no,
what I said.
yeah, nobody is just gonna share about Dunkin' Donuts that much. Like, no, honestly, we really love Dunkin' Donuts.
So Anthony just got married, and he's married to a reality social media star. Have
Yeah,
you two ever talked about maybe collabing on some projects with both your massive social media followings?
yeah. I mean, I would love to do that with Kat. Kat is amazing, as you know.
Yep.
Um, yeah. I mean, I would love to maybe like have a reality show with us being in Florida because I want to move to Florida. We have a house in Florida, so we just haven't made the move back yet.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're big on motherhood. I'm just now we're spitballing, and so we
Mhm.
gotta. There's somebody's gonna steal our idea. Right? It's messed up. Whatever. So this is what we're talking. So
You're going to
you're
be part of
big.
it, though.
Yes. Motherhood. Obviously, Kat's a mother. All right.
Yes.
It seems like two different walks of life that you guys became mothers,
Hmm.
and how you raised your children. Like this could be a fire podcast kind of idea. Like I may need to host this first and spitball, and then you guys could branch out and do this. You know what? Don't take my idea. I'm gonna reach out to Kat. We're gonna group chat, and we're gonna see if we can get this thing going. All right.
Yes. Yes.
All
I always
right.
tell her, I was like, we need to start like a Tampa moms, like kind of like, I don't know if you've seen like the Mormon wives, or
Yes, I have.
we need to be like that, but like, maybe like a Tampa, like momfia kind of thing.
All right. Well, I'm down to help out in that project.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's good because Anthony is best friends with Josh.
Yep.
So we're
See,
all super close, with the
all makes
identity
sense.
thing. We're all down there. I think it'd be a great show.
All make sense.
Josh and his twin brother
Uh,
dancing, delivering us coffee. That
yes,
was
ma'am, Duncan.
fun.
Now, before we go, what projects do you have coming up? Do you have any big projects that you're working on coming up? Any interesting content people should be looking out for? Just shout out what you have coming up. This is your time to shine.
All right. So, besides our usual dunk and run dancing videos that you can expect to see weekly, you could follow along. I am 8 weeks postpartum now. I love sharing my journey with that. I'm going to start working out again. I share my breastfeeding journey. I share all that. I share all things motherhood. Um, I do have a couple big brands I'm going to be working with soon. I don't know if I could say anything yet, but it's
Okay.
definitely going to be fun. And then me and Josh, we are going to start a podcast. I think this has given me the motivation to finally get it done, but we already have the name.
Okay.
We're already, I signed up on Spotify, but we just haven't filmed anything yet. But it's going to be Return of the Max on our.
Hey,
So thought that
I
was
love it.
a.
I love it. And hey, whenever you kind of get this thing rolling, invite me on. I would love to be a guest.
Yeah, you're gonna be our first guest, Preston Jackson.
We got it on camera. We got it on camera. First
Talking all
guest.
things fatherhood, motherhood,
Yes.
parenthood.
Yes.
Just
I'm in it. I'm in it to win it. Well, this has been fun, Miss Janelle. Um,
yeah.
uh, I think that as we're expand our viewership and what we like to do and talk to interesting people, you're right along the lines, and I am extremely inspired. And I'll be reaching out on the back end, and we'll keep discussing ideas, and you can help me along my journey.
I will. I definitely help you. So,
All right, we are going.
all right.